What's up, people of YouTube? Welcome back to another show. Today we're gonna do a movie review. Of what movie, you ask? It's not Ready Player 2, but it's Ready Player 1. Actually, you know what? It's about dinner time. I think I'm gonna grab something to eat. Afterwards, I'm gonna come back here and give you guys the review. So stay tuned. What am I talking about? You guys don't even have to stay tuned. I just have to cut it and edit it out, and you guys can immediately see the whole damn review. So I'll see you guys. Just give me a quick moment.
A few moments later.
Okay guys, I'm back. Just had some dinner. Basically, I just went through the YouTube homepage and I checked out trending, you know what's going on in trending. And guess what? In Singapore, the #1 trending video is this. I'm not sure if you guys can see this, but it's kind of like a school fight. And I have no idea why it's trending #1. I mean, dude, if this is what is trending in this country, I really have no words, man. I will link it down in the description, you can check it out. Okay, so back to the topic of the movie review. I listed down a few good points without spoilers that I think really made the movie super good. So the first great point about the movie is the music. And you know why I think the music is good? Because it contains all the oldies that were great. It's basically a retro movie. But seriously, all the songs that were in the soundtrack fitted the movie really well. No kidding, seriously. But the irony was this whole movie was based in 2040 or some time in the future. So it's quite amazing to think that during that period of time, people would still listen to songs during the 80s or the 70s. I don't know, Steven Spielberg for you, man. The thing about music also brings me to the second point. This whole movie felt like a retro movie, but it's not just a retro movie catered to the older generation. It's a retro movie for all the age groups. Like those older would feel like the music really, tied together with them. But those like maybe from the 80s or 90s who play like arcade style games will also feel for this movie because there's like old games inside that movie itself. And the younger generation will also feel for the movie too, because there's like Call of Duty characters, Halo characters, not say characters but avatars. There are a lot of Easter eggs in this movie. No detail was there for no purpose. And the third good point that I thought was great about this movie was the story was super duper entertaining. It was very interesting and very relatable. Yeah, if you want to know the story, you can just watch the movie. But it's a very good story. The fourth point that I'm gonna come to is the characters in this show is very interesting. It's almost like they have an alter ego, which they have in the game itself, and they have another personality when they are in real life. So it's very interesting. It's like Superman is Superman and Clark Kent, Batman is Bruce Wayne and Batman. That kind of thing, like they have an alter ego. And it's very interesting to see the contrast. And this proves to be pretty interesting because online you may not be who you are in real life, and in real life you may not be who you are online. So it's like two different worlds clashing together, which makes the characters even more interesting because they will meet in real life and they will meet online too. Wait, was it a spoiler? And the fifth great point of this movie is it emphasizes the need to practice cyber security online. Because you see, you can't give your name any old how to anybody out there online because you don't know who they are, you don't know what they're gonna use your name for. Basically, in essence, do not provide personal information to people you meet online, because you don't know what the heck they're gonna do with that information and you can't even trust them, man. Like seriously, don't do that. Don't do drugs. Don't mess around in the internet and stay in school. Yeah, that's right, stay in school, man. So another great point about this movie, which I think will be point number 6, is basically the moral of the story is very well driven at. Like a lot of kids tend to like stay at home and play computer games, play video games. It's bad. Basically, this show is trying to say that doing that too much is bad and you gotta go outside, and have fun and spend time outside of reality. And this movie delivered this idea so well that I think, in fact, many people will actually take this seriously and really do what the movie wants them to do in real life. Like seriously, because it was so well delivered. Guess what? That's not the only moral of the story. The second moral of the story, which is the 7th point, is basically you gotta have teamwork. When you want to do something, you want to win something, or you want to make something happen, basically you have to work with people. And if you work with people, you need to have good teamwork. You can't be a one-player guy that just goes around, solo killing everybody. You gotta have a team. You gotta have a team to do great things, to do great stuff, to do awesome stuff, and to achieve some stuff. I think one of the other important messages of this movie is you gotta take the first step in romance. You can't be just like sitting there waiting for love to happen. Love happens when you take action. I think that's something that the movie is trying to say as well. I'm not sure if that's the case, but from what I see, I think I see this message very clearly. Basically, you gotta stop being a pussy, and you gotta talk to them, and you gotta take the first step if you want love. So I did mention a lot of good points about the movie, but now I'm gonna say, a few bad points of the movie. No, actually it's just one. The main issue I have with this movie is the romance, which I mentioned earlier just now. It's a little bit too impossible. It's so-called a fairy tale romance. It's not something that happens every day. It's not something that usually happens. But it's a fairy tale romance, and it's kind of unrealistic, and it's kind of like dreamy. But if Steven Spielberg's idea of the romance was to make it dreamy, make it like something that is impossible, something that, wow, I can only dream of, getting that kind of thing, then he did a good job. Okay guys, so whatever I'm gonna say from this point onwards is gonna be spoiler alert. So for those of you who haven't watched the movie and don't want to be spoiled, be sure to skip to this timing around here. I'm gonna put it here. Yeah, so skip to this timing. I'll give you like 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so if you guys are still here, that means you guys have already watched the movie, or you haven't watched the movie but you are willing to be spoiled. So let's carry on. I think one of those best points of this movie lie within the plot. So basically this point I'm going to talk about is, if you guys watch the movie carefully, you realize that towards the end of the show, where the main character actually gets the Easter egg and his gloves are glowing, and the bad guy, he actually pointed a gun at him. He was about to like KO him. The bad guy actually he realized that, whoa, what the shit, what I was doing all this time was wrong. And you actually do realize that he paused a little bit, and he was like thinking about what to do next. And then he looked at him like in awe. He looked at the main character in awe, in shock. Basically later on he smiled. He broke into a smile. And that's what's amazing about this show, because most of the other people in this show, in fact all of the characters, they did not notice that. It was something that only the audience of the movie could have seen. The reaction on the villain's face, that's something only the audience could have seen. Nobody else saw it. Not even the protagonist or the teammates of the protagonist could have seen it. Only us, the audience, could have seen it. And that makes it very special, because we know that this guy, this villain, wasn't actually a bad guy at all. And that's what's interesting about this story, because very few villains end up realizing what they're doing is wrong. I think this point actually makes the whole story even more interesting. Do you guys agree? Comment down below, let me know what you guys think. And speaking about the story, another great point that I would like to mention about is why I thought the characters of this movie were so interesting. Okay, the reason is this. There are many different types of characters. Like you have the usual gamer, the gamer kid, which is like the protagonist. Or you have like the gamer girl, which is like the person the protagonist fall in love with. And you have like the gamer kid, like the little kid. I forgot his name. Anyway, I forgot all the characters' names except Faraday's. Let me tell you this, man. Faraday, that guy is super interesting. The villain, as I was discussing earlier on the earlier point, super interesting as well. At the end of the day, he actually regretted what he was doing. But Faraday, the guy who invented the whole virtual reality game Oasis, he's an amazing character. In fact, actually this whole story, this whole movie, the story about this whole movie is actually centered towards him. The reason why I say this is because the core idea of the movie is to quest to find the Easter egg that Faraday left behind in the game. And to find that Easter egg, the players have to understand his life. The players have to understand his thinking, his life experiences, and the memories that he had in his life. So in other words, I think in a way you can see that he's actually like so-called the main character, but he's not really the main character. I don't know how to explain this to you guys, but if you guys understand what I mean, you know, be sure to thumbs up or leave a comment. And that's what makes the characters of this movie super interesting. It's very, very diverse. Each character in this movie is relatable to a certain group of people that are watching this movie. You know what, I almost forgot about this, but I'm going to tell you why I thought that the romance was bad. The reason why I thought it was bad was because it was unrealistic. Why is it unrealistic? It's because the main character fell in love with a girl that he met online, which afterwards he met in real life, but it turns out to be pretty attractive, which is like, it's almost like the kind of thing where you hit a jackpot, but you know, life is not a jackpot. I mean, life is not a bed of roses, you know. There has to be like the unlucky people and the lucky people. He just belongs to the lucky people. But it would be interesting if the story could have presented it in a unlucky way. Like he met the girl, but the girl turns out to be not as attractive as thought it would be. Because even though she has a birthmark or the scar or something, she still looks pretty attractive. Like, come on man, come on man. But it will be interesting if, you know, they got an actor that is less attractive than the average looking person, and we see how it goes from there. Actually, the ending of this movie is really amazing. Like, I keep like referencing back to it because there are so many things that happen over there that not a lot of people might have noticed, but it's actually very interesting. And you look down to it like detail by detail, it actually makes a lot of sense. Like, you know the part where Faraday was actually giving the protagonist the Easter egg, the main character the Easter egg, and the main character asked him if he was an avatar or not. Well, you can see that the main character was really confused. Like, he didn't know if that was Faraday's avatar or that was really Faraday himself. But it couldn't be because, you know, he's dead. And the weird thing was, in the movie, Faraday didn't really answer him, and he just gave him the egg, and then that's it, he disappeared. He gives a question mark at the end, which is very interesting because question marks are always very interesting, and you can think about them all day, all night long. And that's what basically happened to me. So I was like thinking, like, there can be like 3 options. One is Faraday isn't actually dead, he's just faking his death because he wants to retire, but that doesn't make sense because Faraday loves what he created, the Oasis. My second theory was Faraday's partner was actually acting as him so that he can give the Easter egg away. Because you think about it, like how could his partner suddenly appear out of nowhere so suddenly? It doesn't make sense, right? That could explain the fact that he suddenly just came over like without any notice. Like, it's like he knew everything. He knew what was going to happen. And the third most intriguing theory that I have is Faraday basically implanted his subconscious into the game and so-called store it inside the game so that he can so-called live within the game forever and ever and ever. That's a very interesting concept if you think about it. Like, it's like basically eternal life but not really eternal life. I mean, damn, if this kind of thing is possible in the future, who knows what might become of humanity. Like 60% of the human population will be living inside the game and the 40% are actually living outside the game, living in reality. Well, think about it, the possibilities are endless. But thinking about Faraday as a character, it's most likely that he implanted his subconscious into the game itself. Okay guys, so that will be it for the review. If you guys are gamers, you like good stories, or you like retro music, you like oldies music, or you just like gaming in general, whether it's like old games or new games, I think you should definitely check out this movie. It really suits people of all tastes and ages. Like really, the story is very good and it's really interesting. A lot of Easter eggs inside, if you know what I mean. Okay, so without further ado, I'm gonna end the video here. Today is the 23rd of April. I'll be looking forward to Infinity War, which is coming out soon. I think for Singapore it's 25th, and for the States I think it's the 27th. I'll try to give you guys a movie review as soon as possible, so stay tuned and watch out for that. If you guys have anything to share about Ready Player One, you guys have any opinions to share or ideas, you can just comment it down below. I'll see you guys in the next video, and thank you so much for watching. This is a lot of thought, and peace out. Oh, you're still here? You want a drink?